PTS Phase 2 updates, troopers ready for testing, and a gear system breakdown. These topics and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 308, right over there. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Well, it's going pretty well. It's Thursday night that we're recording this week, so I'll first mention that we had our MFN on Tuesday night. We did a sort of multi-layered MFN where we had one group of people that were working on the macro binocular mission, which is a multi-mission thing that you go through that starts, to my mind anyway, starts on Makeb, where you pick up a mission to get your macro binoculars, but it sends you off on a search for the shroud. And there's some puzzles to do along the way and some pretty epic 4-man stuff that you have to do towards the end. Anyway, so they were working on that, and then part of the group were working on flashpoints on the PTS for the achievement, which that's what I did, which was very chill, and we had a lot of fun. So it was, for me, it was a really good night because I made my achievement, so that was good. I think some other people did too, but that's sort of incidental. Mostly it's about me.
Wow.
Then tonight we had our ops team. We went and did our normal thing of queen, which means queen on both sides for people to get the boxes to attempt to work on their gear. But the twist this week was our raid leader, Corley, had a lockout for Isaac. So after we did the queen, we went and killed Isaacs in Gods from the Machine, which was awesome because we had people with us that had never done that fight. So
Right.
that's always a good thing.
Yeah, 3 people that had never done it.
Yeah.
And in our instructions, we were all had done it quite a few times, and our instructions ended up being like, well, there's a lot of phases, and then there's this and this, and you know what? We'll just tell you.
We'll
as
just
we
call
go.
it as we go.
'Cause
It worked fine. I did spend some time on the PTS, but I have to say I am really, really appreciative of all the people that have been spending time on the PTS this week. You guys are not the heroes we deserve, but the heroes we need. I mean, that feedback is funneling through to BioWare, and they're making changes based on it. So thank you, and including Max. Max has spent several hours doing stuff on the PTS as well. So thank you guys for doing that. And we'll talk more about gear.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right. That's really amazing. The amount of people participating in the PTS, getting on there, trying things out. I mean, the achievements are part of it, but everybody's really interested in testing and providing feedback. Here we are on the fleet. This is multiple weeks down the road in the PTS. Sometimes by this point in a PTS life cycle, I mean, they did just do an update today, but the PTS can end up being pretty dead. The vendors here, I mean, there's just a stack of people piled up on these vendors, checking out all of the different gear, trying to explore the systems, trying to get things tested. That's really, really good. So
And the game is going to
well
be
done.
better for all of us
Yes.
from the actions of what you guys are doing. So I just wanted you to know that I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Seema appreciates it. I take it for
Yes.
granted, but Seema appreciates it. So.
Well, I say I because I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
you're doing it
you
some.
are. You are. I'm doing some of it, yeah.
So yeah, my week this week. Thank you for asking. Included.
Yeah, Max, how was your week? Sorry, I was reading chat. I got distracted. We are doing a podcast. Oh, let's start.
I really liked getting back and doing Isaacs again. That was great to
Yeah,
get
that
back
was
in there. It's
fun.
been a long time since we did it, and doing it, bringing some people in there, letting them watch the cutscene, explaining it a little bit, but then jumping right in and one-shotting it. That's a good deal. So, doing the queen, doing some of the other stuff. This week I did spend significant time on the PTS. So I ran a master mode hammer station and then about 6 additional veteran mode hammer stations because I ran my 5. I ran 2 one night, one of each, and then I ran enough to get a few other people through 5 of them. And then I also went with a group, and Marcus and Jay Musselman in the chat room and a bunch of other people got together on the PTS one night to try out Duxon. And Marcus had done this with a group before, but we got through the first 2 major fights in Duxon and started the third fight, and then things broke a little bit, and we weren't able to get back in there and try it again. But I got to fight the first boss, which was the boss that got revealed in the Working Class Nerds podcast interview. It's the sort of they called it Red is the boss fight, which was pretty cool. And then there was a really interesting part in the middle after that, which the fight is a journey. Let's put it that way, where you have to fight your way through basically a gauntlet and to a little bit bigger fight at the end, but it's not a traditional just big boss. That was really cool. And then we got up to the third fight, which was looking pretty amazing, and I wish we could have spent some more time on it. I'm really looking forward to it. I think maybe in the next couple weeks, as one of the lead up podcasts to 6.0, we'll break that down in more detail, and we'll go through the fights and we'll explain it, but not tonight. Tonight we will talk about some news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So we're going to have events in September.
Yes.
One of which we've already had, which is the Radical Resurgent, just over now. And now we're in the cool week, the week in between events. And then comes the Pirate Incursion, and then another dark week, and then the Pirate Incursion again. That's what our September is looking like. Lots of Pirate Incursion.
Oh, interesting. 2 Pirate Incursions back to back. Why did they say why they're doing that?
Well, sort of back to back. There's a week week in between. I was just gonna say, I mean, it's a good time to finish up your rep if you haven't already, which I haven't.
Speaking of which,
I was real gung ho on Dantooine the first 2 weeks.
When does
but I don't think I touched it last time.
When does Nightlife finish up?
Oh, I gotta do that.
Yeah. Unless it's done. Is it gone already? Is chat room, is Nightlife still going on? I know we've got it somewhere in the notes in the but like 2 months ago when it started. Oh no. You were supposed to remind us to go and do that. All right. So we'll figure out when the Nightlife gone for more than a month. Nightlife has been gone for more than a month. It's Nightlife has been over.
I gotta hurry then.
I
have to go get.
Nightlife finished a few weeks ago. Okay.
Dang it.
Not only did I not get the Pigman, but I also did not get I knew I wouldn't get the Rhodian, but I didn't even get the Pigman. All right, well, I'll get it next time. Or not.
Next time we won't procrastinate. We'll start right at the beginning.
No, we won't.
Because anything's possible in the future, right?
Yes. Yes, get your hopes up. That's going to happen. I promise. So, also in the dev tracker, we saw that there's an upcoming Cartel Market sale. Daniel Steed has a post up that talks about what some of the multi-week sale items are going to be, and he hasn't revealed all of the weeks yet, but the first week got revealed, and it's character transfers and character slots. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't pay too much attention to Cartel Market, but appreciate them giving us a preview for the people that are keeping an eye on that.
Also, there's a crafting feedback thread, which it started last week, but then there's a follow-up.
You sure it wasn't like 3 weeks ago and now it's already over? Chat room was asking if I was
Right?
serious. I was serious. I thought Nightlife was still going on, and I meant to get back there. You were supposed to tell me, like, at least the night before, so I could spend all night trying to get enough the stupid certificates to get the stupid Pigman, who would have just sat in my big collection of companions and never been pulled out. But I was real. Okay, so back to this. What were we talking about? What's crafting feedback?
Crafting feedback.
Yeah.
So the thread started a couple of weeks ago, and Eric posted some response to the feedback that thread garnered, saying that because they had asked people to, I mean, the grade 11 crafting mats were on OSIS, and then he said that probably that wasn't the best testing ground because they wanted more of an area where you could harvest faster, which I guess there's not that many nodes on OSIS, or there's too much going on already on OSIS.
Yavin.
But
Yavin would be
but
great.
Yavin is great.
But
Yavin density, but
Korriban
Yavin,
is my
well,
testing ground.
an, another place that's pretty dense is oh well, I have to think about that. I have to mention that later because it just flew right out of my mind. He also says he wants to increase the crafting materials that are earned from flashpoints and ops bosses, which I never really thought of that as a major way of getting crafting materials. Is like scavenging flashpoint ops bosses, but
Wait, wait, what now? Sorry, I was also looking at the
they
chat room.
probably mean
Scavenge.
he probably means the no. I said savage. He's probably referring to the blue and purple things that drop. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
he's
okay,
also saying that the
right.
schematics and the missions need to drop more often. He says that the Jawa junk prices that people have been complaining are too high. Those are not likely to change, but they'll change. They're trying to change, or they will change how you gain or how much Jawa junk you gain for what you do.
Right. And what that sounded like to me was that they were going for inflation basically. So the people that have been collecting and, you know, collecting a bunch of Java junk and banking it and now have 1,000 realize that 1,000 doesn't really mean all that much. So it doesn't give people that were banking old the Java junk amounts that much of a head start. Some people probably still have 10,000 Java junk stacks sitting around, but so moving forward, that 1,000 is now only worth five crafting materials because it's 200 Jawa junk per crafting material. But every time you get Jawa junk from new sources in the future, you're going to be getting 200 at a time, not 5 at a time. So, okay,
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I get that.
And then the last thing he pointed to was conquest, and he said they're going to make some adjustments to what's required in terms of crafting materials, because the way it is right now, it's like crazy a lot.
Yes. Yeah. To make anything, it's insane. And so I mean, this is some testing that was going on, and I tried it when it first started getting entered in before they tuned it up, and Zen has been trying it, and these people are so all of us crafters at least first cut, and I haven't gone too deep into it yet or seen what the updates are, but you know, spend a whole bunch of time, get all of these materials, and basically you end up crafting one component that you don't even craft. Nobody even crafted a gear piece. They crafted one component of a gear piece by by bending over backwards to gather all of the mats to get it. So it's just nuts. So they need to do something about that. But we'll do a crafting show, I'm sure. I haven't opened up that can of worms. I expect there could be some more rants incoming as we talk about crafting and the state of crafting and where that's at. But fear not, Seema. That's my secret. I'm always ranting, so be all ready for it.
Except for when you're singing to entertain the crowd.
Do you see me up here on the? So everybody's crowded around
Yeah.
this vendor on the fleet, and I'm standing on the table that the vendor is standing behind, and I've got the sing emote going on. I figured I'd entertain him. Give him a
Right.
little something for the to pass the time.
He's trying to make us think that everyone's there looking at him.
They are. Hey, everybody.
That's his headcanon.
Wait, and then they had another little bit of a follow up then too on the crafting as well, didn't they?
That was the follow up.
That was the follow up too. Okay, so that included the follow up, and then we also got a post this week, another one of those interviews that they've done with the dev team. So this was a brand new one. This was with lead world designer Dave Schramek. So Dave, I had not heard of before. Daniel Steed posted it, and I bet he conducted the interview and wrote this up. And it's about the concept of world design, how they go about it, and a great interview. I really like this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
It got into some of the details about some of the extra tool sets that are in place, some of the process of what they go through. So there's like the story parts, and there's the cutscenes, and there's the operations and the flashpoints, but then there's all of the stuff in between. And like when you go to, when there's a mission to go click on the crate, well, the crate's got to be there, and there got to be NPCs maybe standing around the crate, like staring at the crate, and then the crate's got to do something when you click on it, and each of those NPCs might have their own sort of little bit of a story to them. They're bounty hunters, and these bounty hunters, they're living in the wilds of Rishi, so maybe they've got bounty hunter armor, but maybe it's adorned with like little Rishi stuff, like little feathers from the Rishi bird people or whatever. So that's what Dave works on. So he designs what that world design and the immersive part of the world should look like. And I found it fascinating.
So they like the story people and the mechanic, the systems people. So to give him as much information as they can, then he makes the world come to life. Crazy. Yeah, this article really gave some insight in the process. Like he gave, which I thought was really smart. He gave an example of one small group of NPCs that we'll see in 6.0,
Mm-hmm.
and how much care and thought goes into each one of them, and each one of them have names, and they have habits, and they have different styles of combat, and they have armor, and it's in this color or that color for a reason, and that's just one group of NPCs.
Yeah, yeah, which is really cool. And yeah, so it's got to be fun. It's got to be a fun part of it too. You may not be writing the core storyline. So Charles is writing the core storyline, but there's like so much writing and artistry that goes into this. That sounds like a really fun part of the job. So great to see that. Great to get an introduction to Dave there, and I hope we hear more from Dave. Maybe Dave will show up in New York at the Cantina. That would be awesome.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Maybe we should interview Dave. Maybe we should call Dave up on the telephone. What
The
else?
telephone machine.
How about this nerfing of the companions, or not nerfing, as the case may be? What does that sound like to you, Seema?
So people were noticing that their companions were not healing as often on the PTS, and Eric responded to that, and they were saying that they weren't healing as much, but Eric was responded saying the amount of overall healing should be about the same, but yes, there's now a cooldown on their channel to heal, which there wasn't before, and so they've changed.
Wartime resources is a crime. Do your part to ensure victory.
I tried to turn that voiceover volume down, but there's on the fleet for whatever that announcer on the fleet is really loud. I feel like that's different on the PTS. Here, Kai Zykin's talking over
Anyway, yeah, what were we talking about? Oh, Nerf companion heals. So Eric says it's not really a nerf. It's different. So you might lose some. This is what they're aiming for: that you might lose some health as part of your gameplay, but that you shouldn't be like dying anymore. So he would be interested to know if you are actually dying more than you are used to.
Yes. And this I kind of agree with. I think this is an interesting way to handle it. If I've got a level 50 influence companion and it's basically chain overhealing me, and I'm fighting these fights and my health isn't dropping below 95%, while that's comfortable, it's also it takes away any immersion or feeling of danger. And what they've said is they're not nerfing the healers, but maybe they won't start healing you until you take 10, 15, 20% damage, and maybe they'll adjust it so you float around there and they're not just overhealing you to 100%. So you at least see your bar going down a little bit. You realize you're getting punched in the face. I like that. I think that's a useful way to handle that. I think that's appropriate. So that's just me. Also,
I have no opinion.
do you have no opinion?
Well, I mean, I rarely have my companion healing.
True.
So
Right. Because you are a healer. and
Right.
you would.
I tend to run around in my healing spec because I don't want to change buttons and abilities and stuff every time I go out to play. So that's what I do.
And if you put
And
them
so I
in healing
usually,
spec, then they would be so embarrassed when they tried to heal next to you, who are a master healer. They'd cry
because I am
themselves to
continually
sleep on their
overhealing. No.
huge pillow. Uh,
So yeah,
yeah.
I used to run with, when I was first started playing, I would run with the tank companion. So it'd be tank and healer, because actually I started as a sage and I had Kai's Fest. So it kind of, and he was a tank at that time. And so that basically informed my decision. And you, as a sage, you have him as a companion, your only companion for a long time. So maybe that was burned into me then too. But now I run with mostly DPS. The only time I ever switch to heals is if you and I are trying to do something and we're failing at it, and we go, well, let's put both our companions on heals.
Yeah.
So I probably won't notice this personally.
Did you? So I'm here on the fleet. We'll get to the last news item in just a second and go through community news. But did you see this little tauntaun neon sign up above Kai Zykon's little area?
Yeah,
It's
he's
like
wagging his tail.
its tail. Little neon tauntaun sign. I don't think that the coils on
Or is
that
he?
neon sign heat up too much. I bet they're lukewarm, just like the inside of a tauntaun.
Wow. Wow, you were thinking of a setup for that the whole time I was talking.
No, that came as I looked at it, as I realized what I was talking about. That was on the fly.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not wagging his tail. Maybe he's just flapping it against the ground like he's irritated with something.
So it doesn't freeze before the first marker, maybe.
Yeah.
Final note that came in the dev tracker is that the Trooper is now available on the PTS. I have not tried it yet, but all of its mirror classes, everything that we saw in the power text should now be copied over to the Trooper, so that's great to see. In community news, New York Cantina, and we just mentioned that. It is public. It is announced. There's a post up that you can go and take a look at. In fact, I've got it right here. October 4th at 7 p.m. in New York City at a place called Stitch. Yeah, Stitch NYC, which is in the Garment District, somewhere around Midtown. I'm a New York City insider, as the case may be. It's named Stitch because of its origins in the Garment District. Actually, I learned all of that from Zen last week, who lived in New York for a while. I am 95.33 repeating, of course, percent sure that I'm going to be there. And so are a whole bunch of other people, which I'm really excited about. So Marcus is going to be there. Corley, Zen should be there. Intisar, some of the other content creators, and then obviously BioWare and a bunch of fans. And I'm really looking forward to it. So
Should be a good one.
should be a good one.
Also.
Yeah. Also what?
Also in community news, we're doing our mega this month in September on the 27th. We're going to be doing that old, dare I say, OG magenta crystal mission. So it's just a fun thing to do. Plus, as always, we'll have some Star Wars trivia, maybe even SWTOR related trivia, and other fun things going on. So join us for Mega on September 27th.
Yes, and we always have prizes associated with that trivia, and that old magenta crystal is it's a little bit of a journey, which is kind of cool. Go to a couple cool places on 3 different planets at a minimum, and we've done it a couple times. We do it like once every 3 years, kind of, which I think is kind of cool.
Yes. Should I mention the LOTOR raid, do you think?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah. Well, so we do.
So Marcus is doing something else in September.
Yeah.
Which is he's getting everyone together who's interested, and we're going to go spend an evening in Lord of the Rings Online. So if you have ever been interested in checking out that particular IP in MMO form, September 21 would be a good time to sort of We'll have some our LOTOR players that are in AIE will be there to help, guide us around, and I think it's going to be really fun. But download it. It's free to play, but you need to download the client, or you either have to do it in Steam or you can do a standalone client. But yeah,
Download
don't
it ahead of
don't
time.
wait. In other words, because download it ahead of time if you think you might be interested.
You don't want to
But
get
yeah,
there at the start
everyone's
of the
invited.
event and go, oh, I didn't download it, and then you're gonna miss the first hour. So
So it's going to be a lot of SWTOR people, but it's also going to be people from other games, whoever's interested. So
yeah,
I encourage you to join in.
yeah. So our guild is huge. It's a gaming community. We cross a whole bunch of MMOs, at least 8 or 9 that are varying degrees between a handful of players that play it regularly to hundreds or if not thousands of players. I think we've got 5,000 characters in our WoW guild still these days. So that's pretty impressive. We've got 700 characters in our WoW Classic guild that have joined in the past week. But we've got a ton here in Star Wars. Star Wars and Final Fantasy are our next two biggest ones. We've got things going on in Eve and Star Trek and Lord of the Rings, and Guild Wars has got a bunch of stuff going on. I saw a bunch of people talking in there. But yeah, Mal, one of our Star Wars officers, is also one of the leads in Lord of the Rings. And we've had this tradition in AIE over the years of a group we used to call nomads. And nomads was a sort of you can almost think of it as an ops team, but this ops team each week or each every 2 weeks would pick a different game, and they were mostly MMOs, but sometimes they'd like go off and play Rocket League for a week. They'd pick a game and they'd go and they'd move and they'd go play that game. So Marcus is reviving that idea a little bit, and with Mal being a lead in Lord of the Rings, we're all gonna go play that game for a night. So that's kind of cool. Uh, and with that, I hear somebody's been killing some Bothans.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
So we've gotten a whole bunch of new information about what they meant to have in the gearing, what we do have in the gearing, what they continue to plan on changing. They put together this long gearing post, and as I said, we were on the PTS. We got a bunch of tech fragments. We got a bunch of gear drops. Got a chance to see it. So we're gonna break that down tonight. So that's gonna be the basis of what we're gonna talk about now. So to walk through this post a little bit in general, and then I'll talk about where I was actually at rant level earlier in the week, even after seeing this post, and now backed off of it just a couple ratchets.
You stepped away from the cliff edge.
I've stepped back. It's not grinding my gears just as much as it was, because I got some clarifications, and Eric has beyond this post had talked about a couple things, and I think it's going to potentially be going in the right direction. So as Eric says in the first the first line of this is going to be a fairly lengthy post, so strap in. So they put a bunch of the gearing in. Not all of the gearing works in the PTS. We did ducks in, and nothing's dropping off the bosses. So it's difficult to get a sense of really what's dropping in there. And is it going to be set pieces? Is it going to be for me? What is that going to look like? Because that will be a factor. But some math was done, some exploration was done in testing, and the first item that they talked about was the quantity of item ratings and tiers. So your item rating is, you can think of 252 versus 258 as the two different item rating tiers that we currently have on OSIS. in 6.0, the item rating tiers will start at 270, and then they will ratchet up. And I think it was Zamzam's Zamzam and her friend who broke down and did a bunch of exploration and kept getting more and more tech fragments and farmed them for hours to break down how many tiers there were. And it looked like between 270 and 306 as the top tier, there were 19 tier levels. So that in theory meant people were thinking, do I have to get full 270 before I start getting 272 or whatever? And then do I have to get full 272 on my character before I start getting 274? And am I gonna have to progress through all 19 of these tiers before I get to 306? Because that's all we got, that's all we're going to end up caring about. So better for better or worse, the user journey that I see is that we're going to know what the level cap is, the item rating cap is, and we're going to have a set bonus that we are interested in, and we're going to have a tactical that we want to go after. So if you tell us that the top level is 306, that's what we want to go to. So if you tell me I have to go replace all my gear 19 times, my brain's gonna explode a little bit, and I'm gonna get angry. You wouldn't like to see me when I'm angry, yada yada yada. But that's not the case. So while there are those tiers, they will be looking to make sure that you progress quickly through them, and maybe skip tiers, and you don't have to get full 270, and things will change. So they detail a little bit out here of progression through the item ratings and how fast you're going to get to 306 and potentially what's going to happen along the way. And we can talk a little bit about that too, about what you're getting and what you're not. So do you disagree with that, Seema, about if 306 is the thing, then 306 is really all that matters? And if you tell me that there's 19 tiers or 150 tiers or 2 tiers, I'm still just going to care about 306.
At this point, I don't even understand what they mean by tiers. I mean, yes, 306 is probably the only thing that matters, because I'm not going to feel like, oh, I now have tier 7 and I'll feel like I've made progress if I make tier 8. I mean, yeah, probably not.
Right. I just won't feel, you're right, I won't feel like it's that much progress. And the other factor that I was thinking about, and the way I described it in some of my feedback that I posted back on some of the forums, was I described what I thought of as the journey, which is I'm going to have a tier in mind, which is the end game, that's top, whatever the top level is. I'm going to have a set bonus.
Will remain until victory is achieved.
Until victory is achieved. Shut up. Thanks for trusting me. Shut up, Nadia. I'm going to have a set bonus that I'm going after, and I'm going to have a tactical that I want to try out. So then the second part of my journey was I'm going to do some things. And if I'm hardcore, I'm going to do a lot of things per week. If I'm not so hardcore, if I'm casual, I'm going to be doing less things per week. But at some number of weeks, as hardcore or casual, I'm going to expect to have achieved at least that first objective, which is 306, my set bonus, and my tactical. Because what's been described to us is horizontal progression. And if I'm going to invest in a horizontal progression model, well, I'm going to want to go chase new sets and try out new tacticals and track them down and build out new sets. Then I'm going to want to get to my first set. I'm going to want that time to set to be relatively small and short. If you're going to tell me I'm going to have to grind for 6 months to get one set, then that's very vertical. And
yeah,
I'm not then going to, because I have 7 sets available, I'm not going to map out the next, 3.5 years for me to go off and chase down all those sets. So the feel that I put out there, as I'm looking through progression through tiers and going after set pieces, was I feel like if you're really hardcore and you use all the tricks and you pull out the stops, you should really be able to get your set built out. Again, your target set and your target item rating in something like 3-ish weeks. I think that's reasonable. I think that's fast. I think that's good. And then you can get back to your ranked PvP or your Nightmare Ops progression or whatever you want to do. I think if you're casual, I think something like 8 weeks is reasonable. Do it over a couple months. I'm maybe a casual person might do 1 operation and hit my personal conquest target per week, or maybe I'm going to run 5 flashpoints and hit my personal conquest target and go. I'm going to do a couple things.
Right.
I'm not doing nothing, but
right.
And then by the end of 8 weeks,
we're sort of defining the casual player in this instance as someone who logs in and does what they want to do in the game, as opposed to the hardcore person who has it all mapped out and says, I need to make sure I do this many rank, this much GSF, this many flashpoints, and these many
Right.
the maximum number this week. Yeah.
Right. Because the hardcore people will pull out the stops and not only just be doing all of the hardest content, but they'll be taking 4 sorks, they'll have 4 level 75 sorks, and they'll take all of their sorks through Duxon and take all of their sorks and do ranked PvP and get the PvP weekly on all of them so that they can get one set as quickly as possible. And that's fine. So how does that feel to you, Seema, that progression of 3-ish weeks for hardcore and 8-ish weeks plus or minus for more casual for that first set, that first target?
Well, that sounds awesome to me. I mean, I feel like OSIS was way more than that. So, and OSIS was kind of soul sucking for me. I mean, just drained it right out of me to get the gear over and over again that you weren't looking for doing the weekly.
Probably to get to 258 for a casual player, it definitely was longer. For hardcore, getting to even to 258, I think it was 3 weeks, 3 or 4. I think it was 3 weeks. I think Zen was able to get full 258 except for the weapons in 3 weeks, because
Yeah.
he used the tricks and tips and tricks and that kind of stuff.
But
so.
I totally fit in that category of being a casual player, in that I was playing the way I wanted to. However, I was making a point of doing those dailies to get that weekly, and it was way more than, wasn't it? See, I feel like it was more than 10 weeks.
Yeah, I don't.
Of,
Yeah, I mean,
but maybe it wasn't,
and
because it's still a pretty long time.
it also wasn't exactly clear all of the things you were supposed to be doing. I mean, I don't. Did you do the world bosses every week?
I did for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So world bosses, turning in unassembled components, the 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 timed weekly
I'm not
is the only one that,
right.
and even I didn't do that. At least
I
half
did
of
the
the
time
weeks.
weekly when it was something that I wanted to do.
Right.
And I would do so I accumulated crystals, and I did get all my 252 gear, and then I did get all my 258 gear, except I don't have the weapons because I haven't killed Veteran Queen yet. But yeah, so I'm just saying, just commenting on the amount of time. I think 8 to 10 weeks is eminently reasonable for someone like me, because
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, as we said, and then there's horizontal progression. So horizontal progression then says, that's your first set. At the start of 6.0, in theory, I'm going to have 7 sets that I could go off and be interested in trying out on my mercenary, and something like 6 or 8 tacticals that I'm going to be interested in trying out. So I'm going to have all of that opportunity for that horizontal progression, which is going off after new sets and trying new things and mixing and matching. And that has, that may be, say another, month or so per additional set. That's going to last me most of the rest of another year to be doing some of that stuff, even if I'm doing it relatively consistently and going after it. If I'm doing it pretty casually, it might last me a lot longer even. And if they do what they said they're going to do, they'll be adding more sets and set bonuses and tacticals over time, and then that horizontal progression could be pretty much indefinite. So I think that's the right way to think about it, and that's the way they should be going after it. But again, in order to make it work, this progression through the item ranks, which is this first item they're talking about, you need to go quickly through to your initial target, and then you can spread out horizontally from there. So that's sort of the core, but then now there's some other pieces, and I'll just describe some of this that I saw. Is this guy talking? I'm gonna turn his. That's it. That's it, buddy.
Just go punch him in the face.
where's the guy in the booth? Can you go shoot him? Here, I'll just go. Voice volume. Boom. How you like that there, announcer man? I'll turn it back on later when we talk to Kai Zeiken. So a couple other things that they've put into this, which I don't know why is non-moddable items. So you can get non-moddable or items or just shells which have no mods. I don't know why they're doing that. Unless it's a shell that has no mods but has a set bonus on it, why would you do that? Unless you're thinking it's cosmetic. And so Corley just pulled one of those out of a renown box. He pulled a shell out with no mods in it out of a renown box, and I guess at best that's a cosmetic item. Everything is legacy bound in the new system, so you get that going for you. The other thing I do not like, I just don't like, is the non-moddable items. Hey, you got a 270 piece. In fact, here, let me switch over here. So some of the 270 pieces I'm wearing. So here, I got a Onduranian Bolt Blaster's helmet, and it's non-moddable. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this as fast as I can. This is the mix of gear, and I think only one piece that I got from running, as I said, 2 bosses in Duxon, although granted nothing was really dropping in Duxon, but even some stuff to drop off the trash. And then 7 runs through Hammer Station, 1 in Master Mode, the rest in Vet. I got enough to fill up most of my slots in 270. I think I only have a couple slots that were not 270. I did not get a tactical. We did see a few tacticals drop. None of them were even for mercenaries at all. And then, but as you can see here, most of it's this non-moddable stuff. So I'm calling, and none of it's set bonus, and none of it, most of it here is like the Sub-Zero Soros Sub Savant Armor, Onduranian Bolt Blaster, Shock Tech Adept package. I call this clown gear. And the reason I call it clown gear is because I have done this, in MMOs, time immemorial, in every game.
Right.
You're level 1, and you create your character, and they give you starting gear that at least matches, and you look like a thing, you look like what you're supposed to be, and then you start getting drops along the way. And you start putting this on, and the worst for me was Final Fantasy. But WoW is bad this way too, but Final Fantasy was just the worst.
I remember when you were playing Final Fantasy.
What was that thing that Subligar?
It was like,
okay, now I gotta look at
it was like, I can't stand it. It's like puffy denim gear or something.
I don't want to be a pirate. Okay, this is literally disturbing. See this? See this guy's outfit? I either was gonna wear level 5 gear, or I had to wear these briefs.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So I'm wearing a cloak, and I've got big gloves on, and then I'm wearing these tidy whities. Look at it on this. That is disturbing.
It is disturbing.
So when you're mixing and matching weird sets along the way, that's what I call clown gear. It's I'm like, fine, I'll wear the clown suit if it's a short path to get to 306 and the set I'm looking for. And then,
especially in our game, because we could just have any outfit on.
True. And here I am. It's really nice. We've got the appearance system. So I'm not disturbed by it as I would have been, because here, in fact, let's make it active. Maybe it even looks okay. Why can I not make it active? Oh, here. It looks all right. Doesn't look terrible. Actually, that's kind of cool. But it's got a cape, which I don't like. No capes. It's got a hood on mercenary armor. Maybe it's not supposed to be mercenary armor. It's savant armor, I guess. And then I've got this spaceman helmet, which I really like, but it doesn't fit with this.
Yeah, I like it too.
With this savant armor with a hood.
But that is the clown aspect.
Yeah. So there's your clown suit. However, I'm fine with putting up with it if we get to the gear we're looking for. But this is not this is not the gear I'm looking for. So no. And then here's the other thing about, we won't get into it tonight, but the crafting pieces, most of what you create with crafting is the non-moddable pieces. I don't like that. I don't like them. I don't use them because I like the mods. Now I know in the new system that the set bonuses are on the shells and not on the mods, but that's even worse because then in crafting, I'm not crafting the set bonuses that I want. So what am I doing? I'm not even getting moddable pieces, and I can't take the mods and mod up a piece that I crafted if I want to change the stats a little bit. So it's really kind of getting me down. So they said though they'll take more of these non-moddable items out. They won't. They're trying to change this so you get less of the empty gear and the non-moddable gear. Higher difficulty.
I really think that the pathway to making crafting viable is not so much to make it like the most long-lived gear, but to make other interesting stuff like bombs and mounts and pets and dyes. And I think we sort of have that, but so much that could be developed so much more.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. That would be horizontal progression for crafting, and maybe make it difficult and a challenge and an adventure to go and get some of those schematics, for one. For two, if you wanted to participate in your core gearing system, then make it part of the gearing system and make there be sets that crafters can craft. And make there be sets that only crafters can craft. So this is an ESO crossover. In ESO, there are sets you get from the hardest content in the game. There's sets you get for every new bit of content. Basically, every dungeon they add to the game has a new set and new set bonuses associated with it. There is no vertical progression in Elder Scrolls. It's all horizontal progression. And that horizontal progression is going after each new set. There are crafted sets that you can only get from crafting, and they're useful and viable in endgame content. So the other interesting thing about ESO is you have enough gear slots with the crafted bonus on them. You have set bonuses on, in the equivalent in here of, imagine a set bonus, 6-piece set bonuses, but every piece, or, say 10 of the pieces that you're wearing can be set pieces. That means you could have a 6-piece set bonus and a 4-piece set bonus, and you could mix and match. Or you could have 3 2-piece set bonuses and a 4-piece and a 2-piece and a 2-piece. So imagine what you could do then if you could mix them up, and some of them were limited to crafting. So you're going to go get some from some crafters. You're going to go get some from that drop from Duxon, and you're going to go get one that, a 2-piece set that drops from a couple, a couple flashpoints, or are just random drops that you collect out of renown boxes. That would be cool, and that would be really interesting horizontal progression.
I agree.
Why, thank you, Seema.
I mean,
Yeah.
crafting is, I know it's a meme by now, but crafting is one of the ways where you can introduce some choices that matter. So like, maybe you want to be a synth weaver so you can make XYZ certain cool gear set, but stay biochem because then you can have the reusable stems and adrenals. So, you got to make that choice.
Right. Okay, so this next post, and then we're gonna get to some really ragey stuff. This next part was too many drops, not for me. So when it rolls the dice, so there is tons of gear dropping, as I said, or as I haven't said in the podcast, but I have said elsewhere. So maybe I should say it out loud. I got through all of the things I did, which was a few hours in Duxon and the 7 hammer stations, and running around a little bit on my own on the other O planet. Now that I keep mixing up with Odessen and OSIS, and it's not either of those, it's Onderon. I got probably about 30 gear drops. Now, here are some of them. I kept some of the mods. I got a Relic of Primeval Fate Sealer. I think I even equipped it, yeah. Primeval Fate Sealer, woohoo! I did not get any of the relics that I would actually want to equip. I got some implants. I got a bunch of gear pieces. I did get a bunch of pieces that weren't even for a mercenary. So on the personal roll, and even if you get in a renown box or the gear that you're getting off of this potentially this one gear vendor, you might have part of that roll, and maybe it's a 20% chance of getting something that's not even for you, but potentially for an alt. So here's the upside to that, which is if I'm getting a ton of gear, there'll be gear pieces that'll be upgrades for me. I'll upgrade my gear along the way. I will potentially be getting some pieces that aren't even for my class, aren't upgrades for me, but I've got a whole bunch of alts. In the OSIS model, I wasn't gearing up any alts. You never got anything on OSIS that you were not going after the Masterwork Crystal to get the 252 and 258 gear for your class. You had to go onto that alt and be running dailies and getting crystals and killing world bosses if you wanted any gear on that alt. Here, especially when you get to 306, you should be getting bunches of gear drops, and some of them will be useful for some of your other alts, and you can spread gear around, and okay, that's actually not too bad. If too much of the gear that you're getting though is not for you, that won't feel good. So I think that's one of the things they're thinking about. So that's what they said. Some of this is intentional, but they want most of it to feel like it's for you. So they did increase the percentage of personal items that are tailored to your character. So tailored to you should be a key. So SEMA on a mercenary should still be getting healer gear because you're in a healer spec. It should be tailored to you. Then drop the number of items that aren't for you at all, but still have items that drop for your alts. So fine. The place I think this should not drop, and that gets to these next two items, is out of these crates, right? So I come over here, I get a bunch of tech fragments. I talk to Takana here, and I say, okay, I got me some tech fragments. What can I get? All right, I did all this work. I ran 5 flashpoints. I spent some time in Duxon in the operation. I killed a couple bosses. I disassembled I equipped some of the gear, but I disassembled like 20 gear pieces. I've collected all of that through all of that work. It's just like 3-4 hours worth of work. I now have, let's look at my currency tab, 264 tech fragments. 264. Okay, so what can I get, Takana? What can I get with my 264? I can get one item out of her inventory. What is that one item I can get, Takana? It is a box, which is for a specific slot, so I can get belt, boots, bracer, chest piece, but it's a random crate box for that slot. Here's where a little bit of the rage kicked in. This is a loot crate. Yes, it's for a specific slot, so at least I'm limiting it to there. But remember, I want it tailored to me. So even if it's say they've moved it up to 85% tailored to me and 15% not tailored to me, I have a chance of spending all my tech fragments from all the work I did this week on this unidentified helmet and getting a Sork helmet in my mercenary box. That's bad.
Yikes.
I can also roll that dice. And again, remember what I said my journey is I'm going to pick, mercenary set number 1 of ass kicking. That's the set I want. I looked at that set. I looked at those set bonuses. The mercenary set of ass kicking is the set I'm going after. That set bonus is the thing I want. There's 7 sets available to me. So if 85% might be one of those 7 sets, say I'm already at 306 even, I'm going to pull this crate. I'm going to basically have a 1 in 9 chance of getting the helmet that I want. So I spent all this time. I got 264 tech fragments. I'm going to have a 1 in 9 chance of getting an item for 1 slot. That would not work. That would not work for me. And if I'm not, after 3 to 8 weeks, having all my slots filled out with Merc set of ass kicking, then something's broken in my mind. And what my initial calculation was, with 1 in 9 for all 7 of my core slots and everything else I'm going to go after and the relics that I'm going to want and need, my first calculation was something like 6 months for, for a relatively steady player, maybe not the hardest of hardcore, but 6 months for me to go and get my gear set. That's not going to work for me.
No, no, really isn't.
Can you sell the gear back to the vendor and get tech fragments back? I don't think you can, Zen. What you can do, okay, so I haven't even tried it. So let's try it right now to verify. So Zen's saying, so let me see. I'm gonna get this helmet.
Yeah, I think you get like 12 of them back though.
So can I sell it back? I could sell it back for 3,000 credits and 0 tech fragments. So you do not get any tech fragments back if you sell it back. So what you can do though is we've got our deconstruction. So I could deconstruct it. Well, it's not the set I wanted. It is a 272, so it is an upgrade. So I actually would want this. So let's equip it, and let's deconstruct my. Oops, I hate it when the window's still open and I sell it back. And here's the other thing that made me rage was, okay, so let's equip it and let's deconstruct the other one. So say I was going to deconstruct it, and this is about what you would get. Let me open it up. Let me open up my deconstruction. Let me put the helmet in here, deconstruct, roll that dice, and I'll get another crate. Maybe I'll get another crate out of this. What did I get? Well, see, this time I got 0 tech fragments. What I found is as you deconstruct those items, those 20 items that I deconstructed, I got between 0 and 4 tech fragments per item I deconstructed. Okay. Again, if I have to deconstruct 80, no, is it even 80 items? 80 items times 4, yeah. So maybe if I deconstructed 80 items, then maybe I would have enough to buy one more random item, which I would get 4 more tech fragments for, because I another 1 in 9 chance. That made me apoplectic right there. But then, then I said, but wait, there's more. Maybe let me rein it back in, because remember, I don't have to spend all my tech fragments for those random crates. So maybe those random crates are these cheap little crates, but remember, I only got 250 crates. So let me go. But I heard about this other vendor where I can buy the piece that I want. So Kaizyken, what do you have? So now remember, Kaizyken only shows up on the weekends, and he has rotating inventory. Sorry, I'm getting worked up here. So there is a set and a set bonus, and maybe it's the set bonus that I want. So I see aggressive treatment on here, amplified champion is on here, apex predator is on here, but okay, well this week, Merc of ass kicking is not on here, so maybe I gotta wait till next week. But maybe there is the set that I want. What's it gonna cost me, Kaizyken? 1,500 tech fragments plus 1 million credits. Okay. Again, doing the math, time to my journey, the end of my first journey. This is what was making me crazy. Now, so my feedback to them was all about that. It was, this is my journey.
How many years it would take you?
Yeah, right. So how many years is it supposed to take me? What did you even intend?
It's like an order of magnitude off. That's what kills me.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. I think those either I'm an order of magnitude too low in the tech fragments that I'm getting for the time that I spent, or the prices on the vendors are an order of magnitude too high. I think that's the way I positioned it. So then my feedback to them was, and they've asked for feedback to be in this way. I didn't redesign the system for them, because that's hard for them to use that. I told them what I expected and what I was feeling from what they presented to me. I explained my idea of the journey, what I was targeting, and what I felt like would be a good time if I was going to be really hardcore about it, 3 to 4 weeks. And I said, if I was going to be casual about it, 8 to 10 weeks. And those would be those time frames. That's what I expect, devs. That's what I expect, BioWare. I did get a little bit of a response on the side that said, and they're gonna do more around this, that said, those expectations are not out of whack, and things should be trending in that direction. And in fact, maybe even a little quicker. Okay, so that's why I'm talked back off the ledge. If it was that 6-month, 8-month journey that I originally thought, and what I
Right.
feel like I'm seeing right now from these vendors, I would say that it's completely broken, but it's
So,
not,
like,
in theory.
if what they wanted to test was do all the pieces meet where they're supposed to meet and not the frequency or the amount, this would make sense to me. But I feel like they should have said that up front, like they did with crafting. They said you might craft things and it might not be the thing that you think that you set out to craft, and it might be a wrong item. But yeah, it's hard for people to see the flow when their minds are stopped by the multi-year progression number.
Right. Right. So I'm going to continue to look at it from that idea of the journey, the idea of targeting a particular set and a particular tactical, and how long it should take me to get that, keeping in mind that that's not the end, that's the start. So that's the position I'm coming at it from. And what I've seen so far did not make me I did not think was aligned with my expectations, and I made that feedback back to them, and it seems like they're already making adjustments. Truth be told, some of the stuff is just not working on the PTS. As we said, there was 0 gear dropping, 0 rewards of any kind dropping in Duxon. Who knows what's supposed to be happening? Maybe even the deconstruction is not producing the results that are expected, and that kind of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, see, here's the other thing. So again, we'll save this for the crafting rant, but I deconstructed all of that stuff. Remember, I deconstructed like 25 pieces, and I got 276 of the green Jawa junk. That's enough to buy like one crafting material, one piece of metal. And I need like 10 pieces of metal to make one component. Then I need, like 5 components to make a piece of gear. So if Jawa junk is supposed to be some path to get it, I'm not getting to this, these orders of magnitudes of Jawa junk more than I expected, where it would be a viable path to be used in crafting. So we'll save that one as well, though. Don't use Jawa scrap to get grade 11 materials. Zen, we'll have to pull Zen in when we get to the crafting stuff, because he's been doing a lot of that kind of thing, and has a lot of expertise around that. Okay.
And we know that you can be up at this hour because you are up at this hour.
Yes, we'll have to pick a day. Well, he might need to be at work at this hour though too. For him, this is the middle of his work day.
No work podcast.
No work podcast. So same sorts of things. They had a couple other notes in here. You can look at PvP rewards. Again, time a hardcore PvPer playing ranked, a bunch of ranked matches every single day. They should only be taking a few weeks to get to their set and what their goals are. And then the other thing, which I didn't play with too much, but I'm getting a bad feeling, I got a bad feeling about this, is amplifiers as well. I didn't like some of the feedback they said on amplifiers, which was amplifiers. You could say I finally got the chest piece that I wanted, or this helmet that I got out of this box was okay. Cool. I finally got the helmet of ass kicking. The amplifier is terrible because it's like it's a synth weaving amplifier, and I'm not even a synth weaver. So what if I re-roll it? There's a lot of amplifiers and a lot of rolls. I might hit the cost prohibitive cap on amplifier rolls, and one of the things that they threw out there was, well, along the way you might get duplicates of that. So if you hit that cap on your first helmet of ass kicking, you then you could get another helmet of ass kicking and re-roll amplifiers on that one.
Right.
Really? That's going to be my solution? I re-rolled so many times. It's now cost prohibitive for me to get the thing I'm trying to get, because this gets back to that best in slot. So, and I still haven't decided where my full ire on that rant is directed, whether it's at the design or whether it's at the players. But there will be a best in slot list that says, if you want to do master mode Duxon, your Merc should be IO spec'd. It should run the set bonus of ass kicking. It should have XYZ tactical, and this should be your amplifiers, and these should be your stats. So now you've told me everything I need, and that's the best in slot list, and that's what I need to go get. Now part of this is I'm gonna have to be getting all of those amplifier rolls. And if I'm going to have to be re-getting pieces because it's taking me, a year to, 50 rolls to roll the amplifiers, that's going to be a difficult thing as well. So, all right, I've been kind of ranting here, Seema, or explaining.
That was the plan.
Explaining where it came from and where it went to. Are we still connected here? Comcast just.
I can hear you.
We're all good. All right, we're good. Just the player dropped.
Have you been disconnected yet tonight? I mean, maybe it has yet to happen.
No, I think we're good. So, but we should probably be wrapping it up. So, any final comments on your side? So that's probably more of a view into how it was working with big chunks of gear. Did you just start disassembling, deconstructing anything, or equipping any of the things you got out of Hammer Station yet, Seema? I know you did some, but
I didn't even notice what I got out of Hammer Station, so
all right.
That's how much I paid attention to gearing on the PTS. So I was serious when I said I appreciate everybody else doing that for me.
Yeah. So I mean, we got to keep doing it. We got to do it again, and we got to do it again and again. So we'll do that more. I'm interested in everyone else's feedback as well. I'm interested to see how the changes feel now that they put them in. I'm interested to see once they start putting gear drops in Duxon what that looks like, and getting a feel for, again, the hardcore versus the casual, the split between that journey, that time to destination on that journey I described. That's how I'm going to sum things up for tonight. So,
cool.
I keep saying so, and that's my opportunity to just bring myself down a notch in my brain.
Right.
With that, I think EPC 308 is a little overheated here and ready to be kicked down an airlock to broadcast this podcast to everybody. Please keep up with us on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be coming and playing with us and contributing their rants to our discussions here, tell them to come check us out. They can come check us out on the podcast at YouTube /New Overlords, on twitch.tv /New Overlords. They can find us on Starforge. They can catch our guild and all the cool guild information we have on aie-guild.org, including a link to our guild Discord. And they can jump in Discord and ask us for an invite to any of our divisions, but especially Star Wars The Old Republic, because that's what we're here playing most often for me and Seema.
Yes.
And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.